on the decision not to allow the banking inquiry to discuss that in the Cabinet meeting?
Well, look, anybody who knows our Constitution knows that the Constitution protects the Cabinet and discussions at Cabinet. There was a concern within the committee that interpretation and indeed the Act that set up this committee, that allows for this committee to investigate, would be broader than just the discussions. The legal advice that we got today says that it's not, so it's been a positive outcome in relation to the legal advice, that all of the papers leading to the Cabinet meeting, all the material that was provided will actually be open to scrutiny by the banking inquiry, and what will be off bounds is actually the discussions of the ministers themselves, which we would have known through the Constitution itself.
Can you also appeal that decision to the High Court to lift Cabinet confidentiality for this purpose?
No, the only body that can have a limited lifting of Cabinet confidentiality would be a tribunal, which we obviously aren't a tribunal of inquiry, so the constitutional protection exists. But if you look, for example, even just around the night of the bank guarantee, there are about 120 documents that have been tried to be FOI that haven't been released. The majority of those have been kept back because they were discussions of Cabinet. Most of them were kind of the likes of the memo to Cabinet, papers that were submitted to Cabinet. These papers will now be available, and our understanding is to the committee. So for the first time we'll see actually what was being discussed, although the discussions itself, the ministers won't be able to actually tell us what they discussed themselves, but all the papers will be available to the committee.
Will it be something of a frustration though that you'll have all the paperwork but you won't actually know what the rationale was for some of the decisions in the context in which they were made?
Well, I think, we have to work within the bounds of the Constitution. The Constitution, for right or wrong, whether you like it or not, protects the discussions of ministers at Cabinet. It's been a long principle. It's been tested in tribunals, in the Beef Tribunal, the Moriarty Tribunal, all of it's been tested in court. It exists, and we always knew that this inquiry would have to deal with that issue. I think, again, reiterating, the fear was that the interpretation of Cabinet confidentiality would go beyond the discussions itself, and the advice to us is that it doesn't, that it is quite limited, and that means that we will have access to a lot of information that informed the decisions of Cabinet on that night and previous and in the aftermath.